Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways. And it's the second last one for the year. We've got the big festive season coming, and we certainly had some festive football over the weekend. You guys are big players in the league. I don't know why you all keep telling me that you can't win the league.
I'll tell you why. You know what's different, James, is that the teams ahead of us are both very good, apart from a slight hiccup this week in Man City.
Slight hiccup?
Yeah.
Are you joking? If you got beaten by Crystal Palace at home, you wouldn't arrive here.
No, they certainly wouldn't be sitting here.
No, that's for sure. Now, so tell me about a slight hiccup. They look bloody ordinary.
Yeah, they were. They've still got 44 points. You know what you've got to remember, James? It's since 1985-86 seasons, the first time three teams have had over 40 points. Spurs have broken the record across Europe, the most away games won in the last couple of years. Most away goals, the team has come from behind to win the most games. Away from home, their record's phenomenal.
So why can't you win?
Well, James, I think Liverpool are phenomenally good at the moment, and Man City are the standard setters. You know, they got 100 goals last year. You know, I agree it's a bit of a glitch. But Arsenal, your team, is still a good side. Chelsea is still a good side. They had a glitch losing at home to Leicester. And
so, you know, the point is when these big teams meet each other, that's going to be the key.
Yeah,
and I can tell you that your trouble is that you lack the confidence to be able to beat the big teams. You think you're going to get beaten by them.
We rolled Chelsea. We rolled Man United. We were unlucky.
Man United's not a big team. Are you having a laugh?
Hang on now, James. Hang on. You must have got a few phone calls. They won 5-1 with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah.
I read on Facebook, wow, fantastic, it's changed. To their credit, they played attacking football. The third goal they scored was as good as you'll see. The Marshall, that was fantastic football. But before they start mouthing, just remember, their last two wins have been Cardiff and Fulham. And they're propping up the league. Man United, I love seeing them playing the old Ferguson football, and that was great. They were fabulous. But next week, they've got a shockingly good run, if I can use that term. Yep. They've got really struggling sides to play. So they could leapfrog back into a comfortable sixth. They are about 19 points off the lead. But, James, they're just getting ahead of themselves.
Of course they're getting ahead of themselves. They certainly are getting ahead of themselves. That's what happens with new managers. The boys come out and fire for the new manager, especially when they had the absolute Rawdon slug with the old manager.
Yeah, they sure. The word was out that 5 of them were going to ask for transfers if he didn't go in the new window in January. Then they said, hang on, we've got to do something about this. Incredible that Mourinho became such a misery, and he played defensive football, and suddenly this great club were under pressure.
Hasn't it happened with him every single club he's been to?
Third season.
Yeah,
his first season, James, his first season at Man United, he won 3 trophies. Yeah. Won the Community, won the European.
Yeah, sure.
And then he
goes backwards.
Second season, he ran second in the league.
Yeah,
big improvement.
But then he goes backwards. He did it with Chelsea. He's done it with everyone. With Real, he's done it with everyone. Now he wants to go to PSG. That's all he wants to do.
You know, James, he's got the record for the quickest amount of games to win 100 games. Took him 147 games to win 100 Premier League. That's an incredible record. It's ahead of Ferguson, Pochettino's third, Wenger's fourth.
When you're spending £400 million, you should be getting up there.
Spurs spent a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. But maybe you'll now smell that there might be a little something coming in the January transfer.
I just want a trophy. I don't care if it's a Tupperware trophy, James. Just want to say we won some. I haven't won anything since Clyde Basil was slim. You know how long ago that is? That's when Spurs. That was when
Clyde was a baby.
and Liverpool, but since Liverpool lost won something. Where did Liverpool last win the league?
All I can tell you is that Liverpool and Spurs, to me, are the two teams.
Ooh, I'm still Man City's still favourite.
I know they are, but you can get value. That's the point. That's the point.
Do you know there's great slinging off between Liverpool and Man United? It's always been the rivalry. And you get all the Man United guys, obviously now, cock a hoop, and Liverpool guys burying Man United for how bad they are. But there was an article put in by a Man United guy, and he said, since Klopp's taken over at Liverpool, Zinedine Zidane's won 3 Champions Leagues, Van Gaal's won a trophy, Mourinho's won 2. He named 15 trainers across Europe who've all won 3 trophies, and he said, and his last line was, Liverpool. Klopp is still hugging his players, but he's won nothing. So there's still great rivalry.
I know there's rivalry, but unfortunately, Klopp suffers from exactly the same as you guys. You suffer from an inferiority complex. That's what it would be. You think you can't beat the big three teams, including Arsenal. You think you can't beat Arsenal, which you probably can't. But at the end of the day, you should start getting a bit more confident. You're up there, and I know a lot of Liverpool supporters.
We're realists.
They still can't believe they beat Man United. They say, "Well, we beat them, but it's not. Doesn't happen.
We're realists.
It should happen more often."
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Is there anything else that you want to? Because remember,
your man Marky Marquez. That's only I think of him because you put the name in my head.
Marquez. Have you seen the highlights?
He won everything again.
Have you seen the highlights reel of that guy's year?
No. He's a fearless man.
Well, he's got a broken shoulder at the moment. They've had to repin the shoulder, so he's under pressure.
Okay.
But let's move on. We've got lots to talk about, and we're going to go and have a look at 3 to follow. Let's go to the Vaal and we'll go and see a very nice first-time winner. Lucky Hoodlarkus is the trainer. They went to the Vaal, 3rd race. Let's go and pick up Centre of Evening. I thought it was a super win.
Yeah, this is, I think, a main chance. It's by Jackson, and it was supported. Comes out the gate about...
So Highlands.
Sorry, Highlands. You're right, Highlands.
By Jackson, it says the Resident Stallion.
Resident Stallion, that's correct. I knew it was one of the big places. And here it drops a few lengths off. There's plenty of speed. If one has a look at the speed, James, I was just looking at it, Royal Futures up there, Takes Two, Burses showing pace on the outside, Brazilian Rose and the Yellow Cap showing pace. But this horse, Craig Zaki, is just biding his tongue.
Yeah, it's got the sheepskin noseband about 6 off the left-hand side of your screen, next door to the horse with a white stripe on its face. And really under pressure all the way, and looks very green. Remember, it's owned by Hartley SA, Peter Gibson's man, and lovely to see them have a nice horse, because this does look like a nice horse. You know what the damn side is? Fading Light, Bell by You, Ormond Ferraris.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes, I certainly do.
I think she won an Oaks.
That's right. This is a smart, because Jackson was a top horse, and
this is going to go more ground, a lot more ground.
Absolutely. So a very sparkling debut.
Yeah, so there she comes up in between them, and I like the way she went between them, and she didn't get punished, although he had to get into it to get her head in front at the finish. But I think this filly will go a lot further.
Yeah.
And, Lucky Hoodlarkus,
he knows his stuff.
Doing the job,
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Right, to go the same day, the 5th race, Sean Terry, he's ahead of the trainer's log. He looks like...
He's ahead of Snaith.
He's ahead of Snaith, and he's going to give Pretty Boy a run for his money this year.
But
I think Pretty Boy is lining up the big guns for Met.
Yeah, the Pretty Boy's got the joint favourite in the Met, and Pretty Boy's got some good horses down there. But it'll be a great race. We need a good title race. What about De Kock? Is he out of it?
He's 3rd.
Yeah, De Kock's got these imported horses and that unbeaten horse who won the Dingons. He's got the Guineas winner. Got some good horses, Michael.
No, they're the top 3.
And he's lurking a Reduced Choice down into the Met.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because we got that featured later on. But we're going to go and have a look at the 5th race on the same day. And Towards the Sun, Sean Terry, by Trippy out of West to East, Claverflay bred. And this is a very, very nice filly. Have a close look at her. Let's pick her up now. Yeah,
this is it. You can see it in Chris van Niekerk's colours. Interesting, the winner is a horse called Ocean City, and Ashley Fortune trains it. And years ago, there was a very good horse called Ocean City. Mr. Casimov owned it for Sid Laird, won many big races. And this is out in front. Pierce Stradham's not standing on ceremony. He goes to the front, upskills up there for you. But Ocean City is really showing speed. And you can have a look at Chris van Niekerk's colours, six lengths off or so, James.
Yeah, it's behind the top 6 horses, under pressure, got a tail straight out, and she's just not really going anywhere. And she moves up the inside, goes right down the inside. Kamalo switches her in, and she only really starts running the last bit. I thought this was a cracking good run because the track is fast. They're running from the front. and this ran on really, really well. And
Yeah, I
she
thought
ends up
she-
getting second.
That's right. She quickened late in the race. Sparkling debut as well. Towards the Sun, Sean Terry.
Well, the next time that runs, you can have your bundle on that, I would have thought. And let's go to the third one. Unfortunately, we had to get the show out early because of Boxing Day and the guys are working, whatever. So we weren't able to put Tony Rivelin's horse in, which we would have put in.
Smart debut.
Yeah, very smart debut. But we got a Friday night and we picked up one from Shane Humby. If they run in the first three with Shane Humby first time out, you know they're going to improve. So let's go and pick up Lataba. First race, Greyville Polly.
Yeah, Lataba's running here. We should have it on screen any moment. There we go. The hot favourites, Hey Boy down the inside. And Hey Boy comes out rolling. Again, it's Craig Zaki, this time for Duncan Howells. Dallas, who runs a cracking good race, is showing speed. And Silver Song's pushing over from the outside. So the horse Lataba is the red and white sleeves, probably about sixth or so, Jim.
Yeah, red and white sleeves in Jeffrey van Leer's colours. Well, Jeff, he's had more trainers than most people have breakfast, this guy.
Is
He
that right?
moves around, Jeffrey. Because
He breeds this,
he's a very intelligent man, Jeff.
Yes.
You must understand. So he doesn't last very long. But he's got a lot of guys. He's got Jeff Woodruff
Is
and
he a bit of
Joburg.
a Mourinho?
Yeah. That's it, Jeff Mourinho. But this is by Oratorio, out of his good mare, Jeffrey. He bred it himself, Fair Rosalind. And first run with Shane, it's a 3-year-old, been gelded, but really doesn't know anything about it. And under a hard driving left hand now, Donovan Dillon gets into it and then changes his stick over to the right. And eventually it gets the hang of what's going on and gets over and runs on to run third. I think it will improve. Remember, the winner is the full brother to Via Africa.
That's right, yeah.
And I think he's had problems, this horse, but he won a nice race and very nice for Andre Halflesh. He's a guy that loves the game.
That's right.
All these owner breeders,
Yeah.
That's what I like to see. And Jeffrey bred this one himself and certainly worth having a look at in the future. Probably need another run with Shane, he'll probably put it back in the paddock for a month and then bring it out. But he does look after his horses, and this will improve. Well, you call him Spooky. Why?
I grew up with Spooky.
What's Spooky got to do with it?
Him and Dick Goss went to Brettonwood. They were Brettonwood. We were all New Forest,
Yeah.
and we lived in the same areas. And Spooky was a good footballer.
So why Spooky?
Left-footed, left
Was
stick.
he Spooky good?
Yeah, you're Spooky good. We called him Spooky from a young age. He grew up with us. Dave Lerac, who was the bookmaker, he was one of the mates. We had a gaggle of
Well,
friends.
he's enough to frighten anyone. If he walked out from a dark shadow, you'd get a hell of a fright.
He had hair when he was at school.
That's
Yeah, good-looking boy, Spooky.
okay, yeah.
Spooky. I love Spooky. He's a good trainer too.
Yeah, very good trainer. Let's go and watch This Shouldn't Happen. Well, back by popular demand is a Jack Russell trying to get breakfast with his mate, and he just got no chance. He's hanging on for dear life. When that reigning horse decides to go backwards, that Jack Russell's going flying. That's for sure. Those American cowboy horses, when they go backwards, never mind whether there's a Jack Russell on board or not. Anyway, we're going to take a look at www.goldcircle.co.za if you want to see the full unabridged version. Let's go and see the plum of the week.
Hit the front. Captain and Master needs to find a retort. Then comes Full Mars. Pietro Mascani was next. Past the 200, it's the Buffalo Bill Cody show. He's 3 lengths in front of Captain and Master Pietro Mascani. The race is on for second. It's all Buffalo Bill Cody. He's 3 lengths to the good and he won't blow out a candle. Second goes to Captain and Master Pietro Mascani, and then came Onagi. What's next?
Just to answer you, Laf, I didn't buy you a Christmas present. Your Christmas present was this horse, okay?
Okay.
I told you to back it, 8 to 10 on Interbet. Unbelievable price. And great commentary from our man, Alistair.
Yeah.
As he
Next?
say, what's next? Well, we know what's next. New year. Can't wait.
Yeah.
This horse is going to take on the big four.
Would he go Queen? I know he's in the Met. I looked
He's
at
in the Queen's
vet.
Plate.
Is he going Queen's Plate as well?
Yes.
Oh, he's going to
there.
get them thinking.
He's there. Sukrat and him, both going for the Queen's Plate.
Ooh.
They got the final field on Thursday.
Yeah, the green point
Remember
for the green point 4 are all there.
The big
Do you
four.
know his favourite for the Met?
No.
Joint favourites between
Do it again.
Do It Again and our friend who lost his first race. What's he called? The late Chris Gerber's horse. Something Bridge.
Rainbow Bridge.
Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah. You'll get it just now.
I've got it.
We've got to go.
3-1. 3-1
We've
the
got to
pair.
take a break, okay, and we'll be back talking about the Queen's Plate. We'll be back with you in a moment.
Hi, I'm Gary Peer, one of the co-founders and executive directors of Interbet. Interbet are the pioneers of online betting in South Africa, having started way back in the year 2000. Our mission is to continue to lead the pack in providing cutting-edge technology in the online horse racing and sports betting space. Our platform remains unique in the context of being a service provider to B2B and B2P. Our aim is to make the site as user-friendly and entertaining as possible, so it appeals to a wide spectrum of target audiences. We strive to provide as much information as possible and to give our punters the very best odds, so the experience is always interactive and enjoyable.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Current Affairs, where Jim and I are going to take you through what's been happening during the week. Stakes races, nothing, James?
No stakes races.
Building up to a big season now.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be the most exciting festive season we've ever seen through till the end of January.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the landscape has changed as far as racing is concerned, as far as these big races are concerned.
Yeah.
It just looks like a whole different feel, you know,
Yeah.
to what it was a year, 2 years ago.
I think, Jim, this Queen's Plate and this Met are building up to be, like the big races of yesteryear. Fantastic races. I've seen the Green Point, now the Green Point 4, as I call them, because there's so little between them, all moving on to the next two, which is great.
Well, the point is, the green point is that they're all going to be taking on the Guineas winner and maybe the Buffalo Bull Cody.
And then Pretty Boy's got Snow Dance.
A Snow Dance.
In the Queen's Plate. Pretty Boy's got some decent horses.
Yeah.
It's going to be just a great race. That is a race meeting. If you're a purist and you love racing, you get to Cape Town for those races.
Well, when you think of it, you'd be happy to see the Green Point 4 have a go against each other again. Now there's a whole new couple of struck in the mix. It's going to be incredible.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you. How good is Buffalo Bull Cody? Seen that is 6 months younger, couldn't have a better stallion, one of the world's great stallions, out of a Shriepeck and mare. just seems to be getting better and better. Do you think he could get into a scrum with him?
My honest opinion,
No,
and I've
rather
got to be
lie to
honest.
me, James.
Okay?
Rather lie to me.
I want my honest opinion.
Okay.
Okay, is Legal will win again.
Even at 7, he's still the bomb.
Legal will win again.
Have they done the draws? I don't know.
No, it all comes on Thursday. Thursday, it's live on Teletrack. You don't want to miss that.
So Legal. What about, okay, as I say, the Green Point 4? It sounds like a group of murderers, but they're a group of great horses.
From someplace south of London.
Yeah, that's right. The Green Point 4 from the South London. The Green Point 4, every one of them is going to go into their Queen Plate thinking, I can turn this around. Obviously, Bernard Fader's going to think, I just hope I travel better. The runner-up is Corne Offer. You can't fault that horse's form. He's getting stronger all the time.
Yeah.
The champion you like. And then Do It Again is a serious racehorse who wants to pace on. So Buffalo Bull Cody goes into that scrum. Snow Dance gets up there. Snow Dance is going to make sure it's hot for Do It Again.
Socrates?
Top horse. Quick and tough. So Arthur Marcus will be in the vanguard. Guaranteed. Arthur Marcus on the horse of the year. Yeah, he'll sit
or
up
he'll
there.
make it.
It's just a fantastic field where I think, James, one of 7 horses can win it.
Depends on the conditions. It's always interesting, Kenilworth. The conditions make a big difference.
Yeah.
Track's running fast, no wind, Marcus will play them. That's what I think. Okay. I think that Sean Terry left a bit in the tank with the Green Point. I didn't believe that he was cherry ripe or sharp. I think that he'll improve from that.
Yeah.
And I think he's 10
he
out of 10.
He
I can't
tightened
fight
up
with
in
the
a
guys.
toll. He tightened up in an 1160 in Joburg, like in great fashion. Sean's got this horse to a T.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
Every year. He says, boom, 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 and they take the money off. Now owned, of course, by Brahm, Billy, and Headley.
Headley, yeah.
Those 3 are having such a ride with this
Musketeers.
horse. The 3 Musketeers. They've probably spent a lot of money on horses in their lives, but this horse must be making them household names.
Well, they are household names anyway.
Yeah, that's a bit of fun. Everyone's household. So, James, I'm just going to put you in the corner. You're going with the big guy.
I am.
You're going with the big guy.
Yeah.
I would hate to make a prediction.
I love him, and I'm going to go with him. And I think he's, Gray's Inn Isai was, to me, one of the best horses ever.
Fantastic horse.
Fantastic
Won the July in
horse.
great form. Yeah.
So he's my choice, and I'm going to stand by him. Just talking about stand by me. That was the Magic Millions winner from the week.
Won during the week.
And it's a Loop de Vega. I love
right.
Loop de Vega.
Okay,
Dougie Campbell.
Yeah.
And
did Stand By Me change names?
Yes.
It used to be Agence France Presse or something.
That's it. Agence France
Yeah,
Presse.
well bought, Lef.
Yeah.
That's
You
what-
bought it.
I
didn't
bought
you?
it.
Yeah.
I bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you to stick with the Loop de Vegas.
You did.
Go
You've
with the
always
Loop de
you've always
Vegas.
been big on these Chamadels.
Well, let me tell you, the best filly in the world is by Loop de Vega in America.
What's
the
her
one that
name?
won
Winx?
the won the Breeders' Cup in America, the
she's
3-year-old.
very
Did you
good.
see how it won? 6 lengths. It's called Newspaper.
James, while we're on that,
Perfection.
there's a myth that for me is.
Just talking about Magic Millions.
I can come back later. Yeah.
No, you come back to your myth later. The big sale, 13th, 14th, 15th of January.
I've seen the catalogue. Wow.
It's a power catalogue.
This is power. Eh? I actually tried to speak to Barry this morning and wish him well.
Can we not put together a few people, go and buy some of those horses?
James, it's going to be a serious sell. Barry has got
3 or 4 million, nothing for South Africans to spend on horses there.
Absolutely, but 3 or 4 million could have bought you the horse who's favourite for the Queen's Plate, your champion. No, it's a fantastic catalogue. Wow, they've got funny how in Australia the young ones come through and tackle the established stallions, and there's you've got 20 stallions who can throw you a massive horse.
Yeah.
So Magic Millions are looking forward to a really big sale. And hope they get it.
Exactly. All right. Now, you wanted to ask me something?
Yeah, the myth that shouldn't stand the test of time is that a good colt will beat a good filly. And that has been thrown out the window so many times. The best horse Japan's ever had is a filly.
Yeah.
Australia's 2 best racehorses contemporary were Black Caviar and Winx. And just look at South Africa. We had Dance's Daughter win the July. Kevin Shea won the July on a filly. Veldora was the best horse around in its time. Igugu. Top fillies. And I'm leaving out plenty.
Yeah,
the Mets, Smart Call. The last year's Met was won by a filly, by Street Cry. You go and have a look. Everywhere you look, worldwide, enabled.
Oh, Susanna.
Enabled.
Yeah.
Oh, Susanna, enabled. Everywhere in the world, the best horses are fillies now.
Okay, well, if you look at the last 30 years of the Arc de Triomphe,
Treve, last 10 years.
well, yeah, well, just look at the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Dahlia, horses like
LA
that. They
France.
were horses that were unbelievable mares that won that race, and they won them multiple times.
That's right.
Just talking about Treve.
Great racehorse.
She's going to see the stars this year. Okay, so she's going to another Arc winner. She's owned by Al
and
Shakar.
Arc runner-up this year. I
Yeah.
see the stars.
Yeah, she's in foal to Siuni, okay, who's
Yes.
the best sire in France at the moment, and she's got a yearling by Dubawi, who's a colt.
But Dubawi.
Yeah, Dubawi yearling. It's
Whoa.
unnamed at this stage, and she's got a filly foal by Shalar named Paris. Beautifully
Great name,
named.
great
yeah.
name, yeah.
Great name. So that's Treve.
Are these going to race for the breeder, or will they go on auction?
I think they'll race for the breeders. I think
Yeah.
Al Shakar keep them.
Yeah.
I think they will. A colt by Dubawi out of Treve, if it looks like something, that's millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
So that's what Treve's up to.
Yeah. Now, the Japanese had their big race over the weekend.
Yes.
It's called the Amina Kinnan.
Did you get a crowd?
Group 1. Did they get a crowd? 100,000.
100,000 people.
100,000 people. Nakayama Racecourse. And it was won by a Blast One Piece, who's a harbinger, beat their champion. So, not the filly. The filly's running next week.
Yeah, the fillies, they're looking at America with her, I know.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be very interesting. What else we got?
I heard Jeff Lloyd's going to stay in the saddle. Remember, he was Queensland champion, and he's still a great rider. And
maybe he'll win the July this year.
possibly, and what I like is that his son's coming through. And I believe his younger son, I think it's Zach, wants to ride as well. So Jeff stayed on, which is great news, which is great. I'd rather be selective. He's just such a great rider.
I watch him. We watch a Sunshine Coast race meeting. They cancelled the last 2 races on Saturday or Friday because of thunderstorm. But he just makes them look ordinary.
He's a master.
He's a
fantastic rider, Jeff Lloyd.
Yeah. Talismanic's going to stand in Japan. He's a Dali horse.
Yes.
At £12,000, that's what his fee equates to.
Okay.
So, the Japanese are making huge inroads. They've got some fantastic horses.
It's serious money.
And Deep
Serious
Impact's
money
got
in the East.
Sons at Stud now, and just incredible. Yeah. Right, a couple of interesting things. There were 4 positive cobalts in Ireland. Okay, which is very interesting. One was Joseph O'Brien.
The young
and they fined them €1,000. A guy called O'Connor, and his fine stood because he injected B12 on the day of the race, which has got cobalt in it. O'Brien's fine of €1,000. Now, if you equate €1,000 to South Africa, it's running 3rd in a maiden plate in Ireland. Okay, so that's what the fine is. In South Africa, you get fined 40 or 50,000 rand, which is more than winning a maiden plate. Okay, and the fine was waived for Joseph O'Brien because they found it in the salt lick that the horses had, which is very interesting.
It's good that they follow through.
And look, the horse was disqualified, so the owner does lose out. Yeah. But I find it fascinating that they have this system where they're not going to kill a trainer.
James,
because
I
of it.
wanted to ask you a question. Now, in this country, and again, I stand to be corrected, if there's a positive for a horse and the horse loses the race, it's broken the rules or whatever, that winning jockey keeps his money. The jockey's got an agreement. It doesn't go to the second.
Apparently so.
Yeah, apparently. I wonder if that happens worldwide. I haven't a clue what I'm talking about.
I really don't know. No.
I don't know. Okay.
So, that's Ireland.
But what about Mexico, Jim? You were telling me a story about Mexico. I couldn't believe the figures.
Mexico have a horse called Kukulkan.
Could you say it again, please?
Kukulkan. Kukulkan. Okay. He's won 13 out of 13. Now, Gulfstream put on a race for Latin American horses, $300,000 race. Okay. Kukulkan came from Mexico. There are horses from all over Latin America that came for this race. And this horse won it. He didn't win it. Irad Ortiz Jr. rode the horse, won by 10.5 lengths.
Yeah.
Okay. So they've decided with this horse Kukulkan to go for the Pegasus. Now, it costs $500,000 to supplement a horse in the Pegasus, but the guy who owns it, okay, is a guy called German Laria. German Laria.
A Mexican.
He's a Mexican, and he's the second wealthiest guy in Mexico. Who do you think's the wealthiest?
Don't know.
Slim. Carlos.
Oh, that fat guy.
Carlos Slim.
Yeah, Carlos Slim, the fat guy, yeah.
Is the wealthiest guy in Mexico.
He
This
must have a
guy,
fortune.
the Laria, is the second wealthiest man in Mexico. He's worth $17 billion.
Wow.
He produces copper, third biggest copper producer in the world. And he's got 200 horses in training.
Good for him.
So he says he's not worried about going to America to take on the best in the Pegasus. He's got to take on, Ganavera.
What are the figures like?
Looking
on
at
these?
Lucky Horse, where that's that won 4 Group 1s in a row.
What is the form like on a horse like it? How does it equate to America?
Well, Bayer is
Bayer
the
form.
big speed guy. Okay,
Yeah.
He does speed figures. He says on the speed figures of this horse, 20 to 30 lengths inferior to the Group 1 horses. Okay, 20 to 30.
I can't
lengths
believe it. It's like the
inferior.
Kenyan champion coming here.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
20 lengths.
20 to 30. So he's paying his $500,000, going for the Pegasus, which is at the end of January. Well worth watching. Before we go, on Thursday, Boxing Day, I think it is. Wednesday, Boxing Day. The King George VI chase, okay? Yeah. This is going to be one of the greatest chasing events ever. If you like steeplechasing, don't miss it. It will be on Teletrack. It is the most fantastic field, the best field you could have assembled.
I've been to it about 10 times, James, because I would go to the UK for Christmas. I'm not going this year, and it's Kempton Park.
Yeah.
I've seen them, best mates. I've seen them all come there. It's a great race.
Well, this year is the best ever. There's a couple of young horses coming through, taking on all the old guns.
Okay.
And it's going to be a race to save
It'll be on
them.
TV.
It always is. Right, we're going to be back with your call. You'll find some interesting stuff there. Well, we're going to feature in the Christmas edition a book that you should be buying. And it's a book on Henry Cecil. And it's written by the greatest horse writer and presenter that's ever been. To me, Bruff Scott in a league of his own.
Very good.
I mean, he is fantastic.
Not a young man anymore.
As a presenter, Bruff's got to be in his 70s.
He'll be in his 70s now. Yeah, he's been around the block.
And it's just a fabulous bit of television, this. The way Bruff talks about this book and talks about his times with Henry Cecil and how he wrote this book. And it really is a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
And, Henry Cecil
legendary
will live with us forever.
Frankel.
Yeah, Frankel. And it talks about the times that Henry had, the rough times that he had, and he went through a terrible patch, after he divorced his wife.
Divorced, that's
I mean, everyone jumped ship. There were two people that stayed with him. Sheikh Mohammed stayed with him. And
Khalifa.
No, not Khalifa.
What was the boy's name from Khalid Abdullah,
Khalid Abdullah.
Sorry, Khalid
Khalid Abdullah and Sheikh Mohammed stayed with him.
Judmont Farms.
And helped him, Judmont, and put him right. And he ended up with Frankel in his dying days, which has just kept him alive, I think.
Yeah.
It's a great piece, and it's a book worth buying. When you see it and hear about it, it's worth buying for your friends you might have missed for Christmas, but certainly a New Year's present.
Yeah.
I look forward to getting. To all of you and your loved ones out there, we wish you a wonderful festive season. We will be back on New Year's Eve with another show, because we don't miss. We've got to work. Yeah, we've got to work. And thank you to all of the guys that have helped us over the year, putting us all together.
Been a good year.
Yeah, been a great year. And thank you to all of you for watching Winning Ways. Enjoy Bruff Scott on Henry Cecil.
First time I remember Henry Cecil and his brother, where they were sort of about 1920, and in a sense, two more useless sons of the gentry you could possibly find. They were involved with the racing scene via their stepfather at Newmarket, but Henry wouldn't show that much interest, just they were pushed around doing studs and things. He then eventually became assistant to his much, much older stepfather, and unlike you look at the stories of John Gosden or Michael Stout or Aidan O'Brien, they were always very sharp on things. I mean, there was no signs of Henry before then, but once he became assistant, he definitely was showing an interest, even though he was still crashing cars and taking quite a lot of drink and stuff. But then he married Julie Merlis, who was the royal trainer, who actually trained at Warren Place. So he was perfectly set up. It sounds silver spoon, but he actually had to get grafting. And what was fascinating to me is that all the way along, there was a suggestion that, from lots of people, not just me, but the impression you got is that Henry was sort of floating about and to some extent just getting lucky. Obviously getting lucky that he had a stepfather like that and father-in-law. And then Julie was very outgoing, and Noel Merlis' daughter. Paddy Rudkin, the head lad, was a very much sort of down-to-earth, blacksmith's son. And we thought they, to some extent, carried Henry. But exploring this book, it was clear he was going to his drum. But it's in his own way. And there's a very revealing line from Paddy Rudkin, who said to me, one evening when they were in the first sort of 4 or 5 years, they were feeding up in the sort of 5 o'clock. He said, Governor's been hanging around all afternoon, he hadn't done anything. But actually, he'd been wandering around the boxes, just sort of looking at the horses, practically sniffing them. And if there's one thing, because the enigma of what does Henry Cecil actually bring to the party is, no one quite knows that, is that he got to know his horses better than anything else. It's impossible to overestimate how long a shadow he cast at that time. I'm not saying he ran the shop, but he was the biggest figure around, and everyone was sort of in awe of him. And he came back, having been at Vincent O'Brien's, and he was in his late 40s really, but it gave him a new energy, and he became champion jockey again from there. And of course, this mixture of the foppish-looking Cecil and the graveyard-looking Leicester was a wonderful pair, and they were a match. At those years of zenith at Warren Place, they were. I mean, at one stage, Henry's team, they had a 40% strike rate, and they didn't run them. Basically, they thought they'd win to a huge extent, and they did win. I mean, it was just extraordinary dominance of that period, and of course, it didn't last. There's nothing ever lasts. And the extraordinary thing and the heroic thing about the Cecil team is that he has come back in the game when, as you know, most people had counted him out. Oh So Sharp was actually quite a feisty mare straight away, and of course that was a Sheikh Mohammed too. So Sheikh Mohammed came in on the act. She was a Triple Crown winner in the fact that she won the Guineas, Oaks and St Ledger. And funnily enough, I went over to Kentucky and stayed with Steve Cawthon, and he said unequivocally that rode some great fillies, but Oh So Sharp was the best of them.
Well, Henry's a great trainer, no question, and but Julie was great too. She was like the glue that kept everybody together, and we had a great stable staff. We had great owners. We had Lord Howard de Walden, and Louis Friedman, and many others. Obviously, Sheikh Mohammed was in the yard at the time, and we had others. And it was just a great yard. We had, Henry, the few horses that he bought, he picked, he was obviously a good judge. He bought some nice horses, but, we were getting sent some very, very nice horses every year from those, owners. And it was just a lot of fun.
The Steve Cawthon years were the absolute zenith of Henry Cecil's training career. I've no doubt about that, and all the people around it. And it was an unbelievably happy ship. The time, sort of Julie riding up the head of the string, Paddy riding out as well, Steve Cawthon would be riding out, and then Henry would be chatting along through. And there would be a lot of Willie Jardine, who's the assistant, and there would be a lot of big players with input. So again, it's understanding horses, and having wonderful horses too coming through. And Steve and Slip Anchor, Steve and Reference Point. I mean, the ride Steve gave Reference Point and Slip Anchor, and they were front-running rides both, and they were contrasting front-running rides, were quite magnificent. And luckily, I had detailed them at the time, so it was very nice to go back over them. Because actually, if you're asking people now what they remember very fractions, and often the memory gets quite muddled through the filter. So I'm confident the pictures I'm painting are the pictures of the time as much as recollections from here.
And Slip Anchor has never been headed throughout the race. Slip Anchor winning the Derby from, in second place, Law Society.
Henry sort of upset about something in the book, but you can't actually deal with a portrait of him and his highs unless you detail to an extent the lows, though anyone who reads the book who thinks that somehow this is going to be great revelations, this is a wholly sympathetic, but it is a realistic book. And of course, when Natalie joined him and Julie left, so did quite a lot of other lads. The whole system changed a bit, and not everybody liked it, and that's not my opinion, this is what happened. And in the end, Sheikh Mohammed left too, and it was very tough. And not for the last time, a lot of people thought that would be the end of Henry, but it wasn't. And of course, the Abdullah team came on board more, various other people, and of course the Wafik side with Bosra Sham and Co came on, and there were a whole string more Derby winners and Classic winners.
Looking for a way through now. Sasuru sitting on the outside. 2 lengths away then as Allied Forces as heads are turned for home inside the 3. Benny the Dip on the far side being tackled now by Pilsudski the near side. They've kicked away 2 lengths to Bosra Sham, who's angling to get out now. She's got plenty of room. Followed then by Sasuru.
Henry Cecil's been extremely good at not screaming and shouting on the day. There may have been some words afterwards, but not on the day. But he did that day. It was all got too tense, and he didn't say it that day. The next day, he said you all saw what happened and everything. And I mean, the fact is, it's a striker misses a goal. It happens, and it always will happen. But so he came, and then it was announced that he wasn't going to ride Bosra Sham again, and everyone was going to fight for cross, and would he keep his job, and all that type of stuff. And he came to Newmarket and rode 4 winners, and then he rode 7 winners at the meeting. And I mean, it did actually shut everybody up. There are absolutely no good parts of being the subject of a tabloid sting, and that's what happened to Henry and indeed Fallon. They ring you up on the Saturday evening and saying, have you got a comment for this story? And then they're going to print it anyway and all that sort of stuff. And that happened, and again, I'm afraid it became so central to the story you can't not handle it. I hope I've handled it sympathetically, but it's there. You can't pretend it didn't happen. It did happen. And that was all very upsetting and all the rest of it. But things were going wrong not only for Henry's marriage, things were going wrong in the yard. It was not sufficient as it was. More key staff had left. And Henry Cecil's tanker lost way from 99 onwards. It was losing way, and then it lost way and then it very nearly keeled over and sank. And they built out of it. And of course, the wonderful thing is that the 2 key players stayed with them, albeit with fewer horses, with the Niarchos team and the Abdullah team. And those people, crucially, the sort of horses they send you aren't just ordinary yearlings. They could win a classic. as indeed they did.
Frankel now in full cry, Celebration and Immortal Verse. Two quality horses are made to look mere mortals as Frankel remains unbeaten and wins the QE2.
Certainly a version of the story is that the horse, even though he'd been perfectly right as a yearling over in Ferren Stud in Ireland, when he began to get going with a wide open expanse of Newmarket, he was a bit like a 15-year-old gets onto whiskey. And a couple of times he went all over the place. And one morning, when he'd finished, he came in and Mike Marshall, who's very experienced, was a very good jockey too, came into the box with Dan DeHaan, and he said to Dan, I'm not sure we're going to make it with this one. So what do you do? And this is the fact of the matter, which is what you do actually is you cut them. So the facts are that Frankel wasn't that far from being castrated. Pity he wasn't, because he'd be still running now. He'd be running in everything, Melbourne Cup and goodness knows what. But then Dan rode him one morning on the Alberhaffy by himself, because he wouldn't dare put him out because he was pulling so hard, but they had some other bridle on him, just remember then. And he was just worried about holding him. And when he got to the end, Mike said, how'd you get on? He said, to tell you what, because this is an absolute monster. And then when they first worked it, it left something for dead. The achievement by that team to get the horse right through a 4-year-old career, a horse who after all started off as a pretty fiery 2-year-old, and then what wasn't said much, well, it wasn't said at all publicly, when he was a 3-year-old, that he was very difficult. He used to kick the box down and he would throw his things around. And by the time he got to Ascot as a 4-year-old, Henry was suddenly opening up about that. Because I was written some several things for the Racing Post, but didn't mention that, even though I knew it, because it wasn't in the public arena. But he was volunteering himself. This horse used to be a bit mad and all the rest of it. But he got much more relaxed. And by the end, if you didn't know anything about him, he was perfectly all right. And by the very last race, I think he was nearly too switched off. Very noticeable in that last race at Ascot. When he jumped out of the stalls, he didn't jump.
10 furlongs, they're off and racing. Frankel slow away, has dwelt and just required pushing into the bridle for the early stages.
Tom Quilly, normally, well, a horse that he had been as a 3-year-old, if he hadn't jumped, missed the stalls the way he did, you'd be delighted because you'd be able to drop your hands on him. He wouldn't pull. Tom Quilly didn't do that at all. What he did is for 3 strides, he went push, push, push. Now that means that the feeling he got was the horse didn't actually want to go. So I think they did exactly the right thing stopping him, because he probably was just getting to the end of it. And that happens. And that was a definite, to me, a sign, but no one can prove it. He's doing something else now.
Frankel moves alongside. Quealy's finger poised on the button for one final electric burst. Frankel bidding to settle it. Cirrus de Zegler is making a fight of it on the far side. Frankel extends. Cirrus de Zegler is a worthy adversary, but up towards the line. All comers, all grounds, all beaten. Frankel won the championship.
I'm absolutely convinced, and for instance, so is Mike Marshall, that forget just about Frankel, but all these other wonderful horses. Midday's half sister is this year. The idea of you get up in the morning and you've got these wonderful horses to go to. It may be stressful training racehorses, but it's the perfect job for someone his sort of illness, because actually you've got to get up in the morning. When you get up in the morning, there's something to lift the spirit. And I say, I think I say it in the book, but I mean it very sincerely, I'm absolutely convinced that Henry is a man who doesn't just live for his work, he's only alive because of his work.
Your World of Winners is now online at www.teletrack.com. Simply subscribe to log into your account from any mobile device in South Africa and access a wide variety of content from our membership package options. Listen in via a live audio stream, catch live racing locally and internationally, or view a wide variety of Teletrack magazine shows to stay informed and updated on the go at any time. It's never been easier. Go to teletrack.com now.